I started Fresno State, I was working for the UC Cooperative Extension with Farm Advisor Steve Wright in Tulare and Kings County, and he was actually the one that planted the seed of the idea of me going to grad school. And since he's on the advisory board here for the plant science department, he actually knew Dr. Shrestha, and that's where the connection began. When I did get accepted, I did work with Dr. Shrestha, and we worked on several weed science projects with him. And I worked with a pigweed called Palmer, and this pigweed is actually Roundup resistant in several of the main crop growing states. However, it has not been found resistant here in California yet. So the work that we did together with Steve Wright and the Co-op Extension, we did several trials to screen to see if we have glyphosate resistant Palmer amaranth here, and we also did several projects so that we can start creating preventative management plans to prevent California from getting it. And if we do get it, we'll be well prepared for that. For those that don't know what Roundup is, it is a herbicide that is placed when the plants are full grown or still growing. And what it does, it's supposed to kill them on contact. And we have Roundup resistant crops that are currently used quite frequently. We use that certain herbicide to kill the weeds that are between the crops. So because the crops are resistant to the herbicide, they actually don't die. So it's just the weeds that die. So it's a really good tool that growers use. However, sometimes that may not work because eventually by natural selection, there are certain weeds that are just already resistant to that herbicide. That's just how it works. And if you keep on killing the susceptible weeds, then all that's left is that one resistant biotype that has been selected to survive, and that multiplies, and eventually your whole field will become resistant because of that one plant that didn't die the first time. And it does take 7 to 10 years for an entire field to become resistant. And if that does happen, growers are in big trouble because we have used glyphosate resistant crops for such a long time that we basically kind of kicked out different techniques that we've used. It doesn't discriminate. It can attack permanent crops, row crops. It's where it lands is where it can survive. And it's a summer plant, so they thrive. The hotter, the better weather, it can actually thrive. And the crops actually have to compete for water, and you know how we're in a huge drought. So it's not good that we have these weeds that are competing for these water and all these resources that our crops need. We've actually been very fortunate that we've only had about 6 glyphosate resistant weeds in California. There's some states that have more. And the weed that we're working with, that pigweed, Palmer amaranth, it has not been resistant here in California yet. However, there are about 12 other states in the United States that actually have it, and they're having a difficult time controlling it. And this weed is devastating. There are growers that just completely walk away and abandon their field because they can't even control it. So for that weed to become resistant in California, we're looking at millions of dollars worth of damage because we can't control it. So it's good that we're doing this research here at Fresno State so we can create these preventative management plans. The results of the studies that we've done here at Fresno State have determined that we currently do not have glyphosate resistant Palmer amaranth here in California. However, our research has shown that we are probably going to have it pretty soon. We did have some survivors in some of the populations that we did screen. However, it wasn't enough to say that we do have resistance. However, I did present most of this work at a Cotton Incorporated meeting, and one of the main researchers that was actually in Georgia where the first case was discovered, he was saying that the symptoms that we have here, that's what they saw in that state before it became full-blown resistant. If it does become resistant, we actually have done some work on a few tank mixes and rotating modes of action and using alternatives. Dr. Shrestha, I would have to say, is a very unique professor. He also serves as our mentor. He wants what's best for us, and he challenges us. I could say he's probably one of the most humble people that I do know. The amount of time that he spends and invests in his students and the work that he does is just amazing. I've never come across a professor that has put that time into his students. And as an advisor, he actually likes to encourage students to want to conduct research. So he helps them with student research grants that are on campus. At one time, I think he had 7 to 8 of us doing projects. We've actually shared our polymer work in Texas, Louisiana, Kentucky. We've even traveled with it to Canada as well. So our work here at Fresno State has been known. A lot of his students that don't even have bachelors yet have conducted more research than most people that have masters. And that's really unique about his program. He always finds scholarships for us, and he's always sending us things. When I was in his program, I was able to get at least $12,000 worth of scholarships just on the weed work that I did with him. Through the experience here at Fresno State working with Dr. Shrestha, I actually got a job even before I graduated. I was hired as a subtropical horticulture farm advisor in Riverside and San Diego County. And as soon as my thesis was submitted on October 30th, I was at work within the next week. And when I applied, it was actually quite intimidating because I was applying to a position where there are mostly PhDs, and I would probably have to say that it was probably because of the work that I did with Shrestha and Steve Wright, so it gave me that chance to really break through. As a farm advisor, half of my work consists of conducting research in anything that's subtropical, so you have citrus, cherimoyas, date palms, mangoes, and the other half is extension work. So my responsibilities are to teach growers within those 2 counties, or actually statewide, the newest techniques on how to grow their commodity. So I assist them to making sure that they're able to produce the amounts that they need to be successful. Things happen so fast that I don't think it's really sunk in yet. And like I said, when I worked for UC Crop Extension in Tulare, I was already working side by side with the farm advisor. So I think that helped me a lot. So it's really fast paced. There's always things happening. It's not a 9-to-5 job, 40 hours a week. You're always constantly working to make your program successful. And like I said, I was always busy because I worked for Shrestha and Tulare County. So it was something that I just picked up and just ran with it. And I think it was a really good transition for me. And because the way that Shrestha and his program challenged me, it got me ready to actually work in research.